So the question is this: do we have differences in the Arabic Qur'ans as well? I'm not talking about the English version right now. I mean, do we have differences in the Arabic Quran? And the answer to that is yes. Now, I know that you're going to be shocked hearing this. Now, if you're a Muslim, okay, I know you have been told that the Quran is one all over the world. All right, that's what you've been told. But if you're looking at this shelf of mine, no, this is where my hand should be. No, it's not going where I want it to be. Oh, there you go. If you are looking at this shelf of mine, under this place, I mean, above my hand right now, you discover there are some Qurans right there. These are not English translation of the Quran. These are Arabic versions of the Quran. And I'm going to show you just two differences because of our time, all right? I'm going to show you two differences from these Arabic versions of the Quran. Now, if you are a Muslim, you must have been familiar with some of these versions of the Quran. Okay, we have the Aduri, we have the Ashoba, we have the Kalaf, we have the Asusi, we have the Kalun. There are so many. At least they're up to 10, even more than 10. All right. Now, some Muslims will say, hey, Korede, you are ignorant. You don't have an understanding of Hulumul Quran, the science of the Quran, the transmission of the Quran, and you are calling these Arabic versions of the Quran. They are just simply the recitation of the Quran, all right? There are different ways of recitation of the Quran. Yeah, I've had a lot of that. I mean, I've had a lot of that from the Muslims. They tell me that a lot. But if there are different recitation of the Quran, they are not supposed to contradict themselves. They're supposed to be saying the same thing, just that in various ways, okay? If that is the argument of you, who is viewing this right now as a Muslim, if that is your argument, then let's take a look at some of these differences and see if these are version or if they are just, ways of reciting the Quran. So let's take a look at two examples because of time. All right. So we're going to be taking a look at two examples, and we're going to be comparing the halves of the Quran and also the Warsh readings of the Quran. I use the word reading because a lot of Muslims that are watching this, who are familiar with this, they know this as reading. But then let's read these readings and see if they are versions or they are reading. Now, the first part of this verse of the Quran is Quran chapter 3, verse 146. All right. And this is what it says in the English translation. All right. It says, and many a prophet, and of course you have it in bracket, many from amongst the prophets fought in Allah's cause, and along with him fought large bands of religious learned men. But they never lost their heart for that which they did. They never lost their heart for that which did before them in Allah's way. Nor were they wicked. Nor did they weaken nor degrade themselves. Allah loved the Al-Sabirin, that is the patient one. Now, this English translation of the Quran that I've just read, if from the Arabic version of the Quran, okay, or the Arabic rendition of the Quran, which is actually what you're seeing on your screen, we have the halves and also we have the worst, okay? Now, the one we'll just read right here is the one that is being utilized by the halves. So the English translation that we have here is the one that is coming from the halves. The Acts version of the Quran is the one you are seeing on top right there. I mean, it's the one you are seeing above the second one. You can see the Arabic right there. And we also underline the word that you need to take note of. And the Arabic word right there is katala. A caveat right here. Let me quickly make a caveat right here. Number one, I don't speak the Arabic. I'm not a native Arabic speaker, okay? And I don't read the Arabic also, even though I'm trying to learn one after the other. But then the truth of the matter is this. What I'm telling you right now is not something that I made up, okay? Even the Muslim scholars are showing forth this in their translation. There's a particular translation that I'm going to mention, and the name of the translation is the Bridges translation of the Quran. It's actually right there in my shelf. Can I even bring it up? Yeah, I can actually draw it so you can see. This is the Bridges translation of the Quran. So what this Quran does is that it takes a look at, okay, you guys can see this clearly. All right, but let me just show you the front, okay? So this is the front of the Quran I'm talking about. This is the Bridges translation of the Quran. So what this Quran does is that it looks at these different versions, okay? These things that we're talking about from the halves, the words, and all of that, and it notes them. It shows you these differences in this Quran. And this Quran is not made by Christians. It's actually made by Muslims, all right? And they are showing you that indeed there are differences. And that is what I've shown you on the screen. So Hafs is saying that it is Katala, all right? That means they fought, okay? But then by the time Warsh is going to actually render this, it says that the prophets were killed. So if you are reading your own Quran, your English translation of the Quran, what you are going to be seeing right there is that the prophet fought, okay? But if you go to the Arabic version, okay, I'm talking about the Warsh right now, the Warsh. If you go to the Arabic version, what you are going to be reading is not Katala. What you're going to be reading is Kutila, and Kutila is killed. Kutila and Katala are not the same. All right? It is not the same. And that is why we're telling you that this is not just a style of reading. These are actually differences from within the Arabic version of the Quran. But that is just one. Let me show you one more before we move away from here. Let me show you one more verse of the Quran. Quran chapter 21, verse 112. Quran 21, verse 112. And here's what it says, okay? In the English translation, I've actually shown the one for the Hafs and also the one for, the Warsh as well. And for the Hafs, I'm actually reading from Dr. Ghali's translation of the Quran. And all this translation of the Quran I'm mentioning can be accessed online, okay? It is not, I'm not the one that made this translation. They are available online. Just go to www.quran.com. You can see all this translation. If you don't want to buy the hard copy, they are available free online for you to check, okay? Now, here's what Dr. Ghali's translation say, rendering the Hafs. And it says, he said, Lord, judge with the truth. And our Lord is the all-merciful. His help is to be sought against whatever you describe, all right? So the Arabic word right there that says he said is kahala, all right? You can see right there is kala, all right? He said kala. But by the time you read the word version of the Quran, the second one, the Warsh, here's what it says. It says, say, my Lord, judge thou in truth. Our Lord most gracious is the one whose assistance should be sought against the blasphemy, yea, utter. And then if you're going to read this one, in the Warsh version of the Quran, the word right there is not kala, rather it is kul. And that is the one that Muslims are actually very much familiar with the word kul. It's anytime you see the word kul, it says say, kul, say. But he said, that is kala, kala. But it's not the same thing, okay? One is saying, the same verse actually. One is saying he said, the other one is saying say. So which one is it? Was Muhammad told to say, or I mean, like, is it Muhammad that is saying right there, or was it commanded to say? All right. So we need to actually get that clear. And you can see that these are actually differences from, one another.